Starting to the right side, we have the player for the Prime team. In red starts
Byun Prime.
Just played the longest game in GSL history.
And won it.
Yeah.
Looking very happy about that so far. His opponent, formerly Fnatic. Zerg player, the only Zerg in the group, now playing for LGIM. He is
LGIM Byun.
With a sneaky bailing aggression against his first opponent, against Chai. Made it look easy. Lured the sentry, the only sentry, into the main base. No force field at the ramp, the big wall off, and then ByuL took the game. I'm giving those two players a bit of exposure here, guys. If you want to add them on Twitter, if you want to support them, if you are a ByuL or a Byun fan, we have the Terran player with his Twitter account, Byun Prime, at Twitter, and of course ByuL, he is LGIM ByuL. Also make sure that you add the two of us, at ProxyWolf and at Kaldor.
Yeah, I started to look at a few of the pictures you guys sent about your GSL viewing set. Pretty awesome stuff that I've seen already, and I have to say, even if you're watching the VODs, I'd love to see a tweet about that.
Yeah, I'll definitely check those out during our next break. But first we are having a Terran versus Zerg. Yeah. Terran versus Zerg on Antigua. If you look at the history on this map, Terran players have been a bit dominant with how they can control the map, especially the center, how they can force a Zerg player to just bounce between bases later on as soon as the drop play comes into place and the Zerg player tries to take us forth, which is one of the reasons why a few Zerg players now try to just go for a 3-base turtling strategy, having spore crawlers and spine crawlers ready, and then with attack and the resources they are hitting a timing. Lino loves to do it with the Broodlords. We still have a lot of people go for a Ling and Ultralisk composition. There are definitely a lot of approaches of variations that you can go for. And ByuL has shown us in the first game today that he also can be very, very aggressive, which is still an option that you have. Roach pushes on this map, always an option for you.
Yeah, we've already seen ByuL do a Baneling bust against a Protoss, so definitely showing that he has it in him to do what it takes to end the game early. And Byun comes in here, scouts, sees the gas. He's going to have to respond. He takes his own 2 refineries home immediately. He wants to see if a Baneling Nest comes down, but there's no way for him to tell this early. There's not going to be an option because ByuL's not going to give it to him. He's just going to get his queens out, he's going to make some Zerglings and shut that down.
There are, of course, several approaches to this map and the opening for a Zerg player. You can go for a gasless strategy where you focus a little bit more on the queens to just throw Hellions back. If you go for the gas, you are in a position where you can always take the third, maybe even a little bit easier, because with the speed upgrade and with a good creep spread, you have a very good weapon against Hellions, and you can save all the bases, you're not limited on 2. And very important here is that ByuL mines gas from his Vespingazer, even with from his extractors. With 2, exactly. He doesn't leave only 1, but he leaves 2. So he shows it too.
Yeah, that's very important. He repeatedly showed to ByuL. ByuL was in, Byun, excuse me, these names are very similar.
Falling into the trap already?
Yeah, I know. Byun was able to see it repeatedly with his SCV. He actually made like 3 trips around the hatchery, so he knew the entire time that 2 were mining. And the worker count, up to 25, he starts now for the first group of Zerglings, really going across the map to scout and really to deny scouts of his opponent.
I want to see what exactly he does with the gas. We have him now at 130, and he can go into a Baneling Nest. He can go, well, for Roach Warren, if he wants to go for a push, it would be too late. But he can go into the tech, and that's what he does. Goes into a lair here. And a lair tech at 6 minutes. This is not a seal tech.
No, not quite. Could be for just quick mutas, as he is going to continue to build up the gas. He's put now the 3rd one back inside. Then, yeah, now adding the additional extractors. It's not going to be a sort of weird Nidus play. It's probably just going to be standard Mutalisk.
Some hell.
We saw
standard, not really, but 2-base Mutalisk.
You know, when the Casper players first started to play on this map, some of them tried to go for a Nidus network, forward one, not in the base, but with roaches. I really loved the strategy. It was pretty cool. We haven't seen this in a long time, though, and fell off the grid a bit. Would have loved to see something like this, but in a match like this, it's maybe a little bit too dangerous, too risky. For now, he's still sticking with his 43 harvesters, and you can see that he only wants to saturate those 2 bases and the gas. He's now blending more and more. There comes the Baneling Nest, going into Zerglings, but what exactly is he up to? What will we see now that he completed the lair tech? Is he going into the Spire? or will he just try to get the speed upgrade for the Banelings, which is pretty unlikely. He would have used a different timing there.
Right. We have seen that similar timing to what you described already in this up and down match in a different group. Spire is the choice, of course, which is what we expected. He wants to make sure he can deny the scout at the third base. Byun very careful with his Hellions right now. Going to keep them off the edge of the creep, but at the same time deny creep. And look at this. The secret sneaky little queen.
This is getting more and more popular.
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. We saw this, I think, in Iron Squid also by Ghost User being used, and you see it where a lot of a lot of Zerg players these days are using this strategy. You walk the queen across the map, you spread creep with an overlord, and then you can just use the creep tumors to go up the ramp on the high ground and then block the expansion of your opponent. It's very, very annoying, and it is so awesome. It costs you a queen. Yep. And the queen, if it's not detected, can actually also walk back later on, but you can see how many creep tumors he drops here. That's a very smart move to delay this expansion for as long as possible.
It's really, really great.
You can also move on with the overlord then and just place it on top. Oh, these overlords are a bit out of position.
Yeah, that's not what he wants to have.
They're stopped though.
Yeah, that was close. But I'm curious to see
oh, nice. Well
how
done.
Byun is going to respond to these Mutas, because he does have E-base. Nice trap on those Hellions. He does have the E-base, but he doesn't have made any turrets yet, despite the fact that he's known this gas been mining for so long. Now he starts them.
Starts the turret now.
He's also got pretty decent bunker coverage.
It's always the most annoying feeling as a Terran player when you're sitting on your two bases and you already prepare your expansion. We don't see it for Byun yet, but just think about what he sees on the screen. He didn't really scout this, but suddenly the creep starts making his way into your natural, and you're like, what just happened? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
And then you have to use scans. You have to use scans that you don't want to use. That's all energy that you want to spend for mules. So that's very, very annoying, and of course amazing for ByuL. And the one thing I have to say for ByuL is, he changed his team, so he's not in Fnatic anymore, and I feel that the training regime that LGIM has is maybe a little bit stricter than what he experienced in Fnatic. And this is kind of one of the first times when we really see him play with the LGIM tech. He played with it before, but this is kind of...
This is a lot more time.
Yeah, this is a little bit... This is where it comes into play, I feel.
Something really interesting about Byun's play, well, he switched it. I was going to say is he went for building armor before plus one additional armor. He did switch that. I was really curious about that at first, but it looks like it's not intentional. He's a little bit supply blocked here, but the Mutas can't do much. With the double bunker, he's got one in his main base and at the natural, so it makes the Mutas really hard to move through there. Plus, the turrets, it's just not something he can do. So ByuL backs off. He starts killing debris all over the map so he can take additional hatcheries later. He's got really nice overlord coverage that he's starting to spread out in the bottom right of the map to spot for drops so he can go and clean up with his Mulus.
He sees it already. Look at this. He has one overlord at the bottom right of his opponent's base, and he sees the dropship. ByuL is... Oh, nice micro here.
Wow.
Gets a lot of damage done.
Not enough players are doing that with their Mutas as well. You turn them around the last second, but not enough players are actually pulling their Mutas back like that.
I have to give some credit to Byun though, because what he did was immediately when he spotted the overlord, he realized that he was walking into a trap, so he unloaded the medivac. Now he finds himself surrounded by creep tumors. He has to scan and take them out one by one. So annoying for him. He gets both of the active creep tumors at the top right, so the queen is still spreading a few additional ones, but he can finally start to place down his command center when the creep finally is seated.
Uh-oh, this eBay is a little bit exposed. He needs to start repairing that. And the funny thing is the eBay walls the SCVs out. Oh wow, this is going to be close.
This is not only going to be close, now he can suddenly kill the SCVs.
Yeah. Then the SCVs have to leave.
That is a nice spot that he found here. And he doesn't even lose too many Mutalisks. Both of them just barely surviving. But now he can go back, can even transfuse them with the queen if he wants to. We have +2/+2 on the tap for him. And he plays a very, very solid game here. You know, the only reason why he didn't put any overlords to the top left, I feel, is because he has the creep there and knew exactly that he would spot a medivac with his creep tumors.
Yes.
Now he should do it on the other hand. He should start to place a few overlords there just in case. But he takes his 4.
Now he can do this attack that we see oftentimes with Baneling speed, a bunch of Lings and Mutas at the third, with creep spread that's receding, yes, but still there. This is actually really cool. It's a first two-step process. The first step is to deny the third with the creep. The second step is to go for the attack, which we've seen so often work really, really well on this map. And now Byun, a little bit in trouble, still can't quite land his command center, has to move it Just be very careful here. Probably will start some turrets now.
It's so annoying for him, the style that we see
And
from
ByuL
ByuL.
keeps him so focused on this that he can actually take a 4th base on this map on the edge that we've seen almost no Zerg players going for these days.
We have now 100. Oh wow, he gets even more Zerglings. He's up to 130. He will be at 143 Zerglings in just a few seconds.
A lot of them too, and I think he might make a big round of Banelings and go for an attack like we've seen Lucira do. But he goes for Hive.
Yeah, if he goes for this Baneling aggression, the problem that he will face is that there is siege mode,
and
there are 4 tanks. 4 tanks, that's just a number where you feel, okay, can I crush through this? If he targets with the Mutalisk, if he goes in with the Mutalisk while okay, if the Zerglings attack first, take the first shots, then the Banelings roll in, and at the same time the Mutalisk go for the tanks and snipe them, then the Banelings will have a good shot here. But he doesn't morph as many as he could have. It's only 21 so far, could morph more. You mentioned the Hive tech. He can play a patient game here. He doesn't have to be aggressive now.
Yeah. He can if he sees an opening, but at this point in time, it's too late.
It would be a bit too risky. If you are in the position where he's at now, you have creep everywhere, you have the speed advantage. If your opponent moves out, you can take him down. But even if you control the entire map, you have still to be very, very careful. We've seen Lucira play against Polt on this map, and through the entire duration of the game, Polt was only on 3 bases. Lucira pressured him everywhere, covered the entire map in creep, but when Polt decided, hey, I have my +3, I have a strong army, I'm gonna move out now, slowly but steadily, claim my 4th, and I'm gonna push you back. And he did it, and Lucira lost the game. So ByuL, even though it looks on the minimap like he's completely dominating it, and even though he plays really well, has to be careful because Byun is no pushover.
He's no pushover, but he's definitely stuck, you know, but there's a saying, you never know what a corner beast might do, and that's where Byun is at right now. He's stuck on 3 bases, he's got a sensor tower up, he's got creep blocking him, he cannot move a step with his medevacs without being found and killed. We've seen it now on both sides.
Nice targeting, he takes down 2 Mutalisks, well done. But you can see that Byun, with 3 bases, now has the economy to go for the 2nd attack upgrade for his siege tanks. He is on +3/+3, or on his way to +3/+3, with the rest of his ByuL force. So he's definitely in a position where he can get such a strong army that later on he will be a very dangerous opponent. And ByuL knows it. He goes into every single tech that he has. He goes into the Broodlord tech, he goes into Ultralisks. Those borrowed Banelings did not detonate, didn't see the chance.
I think he was too focused on his medevac, which does get killed, but Byun is trying everything he can to break out here. He sends 1 medevac to the left, kills the Overlords, loses the medevac, then goes to the south. At the same time, when he knows that ByuL's forces are going to go to the right side, he goes to clear up creep, but ByuL is there. He's everywhere.
Yeah. He is coached by the creator of the universe himself, by Nesty, and you can see it.
You can really see it, man. Byun is struggling to move forward, but he is about to have those upgrades you were talking about. And that might be his moment to try to break out here. Spire, 2nd one going up now. Greater Spire is done, so is the Ultralis Cavern.
His resources are there, and why not use them? It's what he does, and he doesn't waste any time. He always tries to poke. The creep is still annoying for Byun. He tries to push it back. He has the strong army out. Both of them are nearly maxed, and +3 attack is done for the Terran player. +3 armor will be in a few seconds. Ultralisks now joining the battle, and that's something that Byun is already reacting to. He's adding Marauders.
Is it adding those Marauders indeed? Nice control here on the Mutas. Does lose 2. Picks off a siege tank. Control it started off good.
You know, earlier on I would have said that it might be smart for Byun to get a Thor into the game against the Mutalisks. But now, with the drop play that we saw, he was able to take down 2. He just took down another few. Now he only has 7 left. So you can go for the Thor. You don't really have to anymore. You want to babysit your tanks, but Marines are going to cut it at this point. 2 additional starports coming up.
Yeah, he's doing a catch-all build here, but he doesn't really have the resources I feel to do everything. He's got to really make a choice.
Highlighted several times were those burrowed Banelings. There they are, once again, in the middle of the screen. So let's see if at some point he uses them against Marines, if he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, he may. I'm worried because we have the air upgrades coming out here. ByuL is doing... He's preparing to go air. Byun is preparing to potentially go air. He starts building armor now. He's spending a lot of resources that are, since he's maxed, okay, but if he loses 1 fight and has to remax, it's going to be the only time he can without a 4th base.
What did we talk about earlier, Wolf? What was the problem for the Zerg player?
Taking a 4th base.
Yeah, and he has 5. And these medivacs, They are everywhere, but so is ByuL. He has the Mutalisks to the left, he has a few of his Infestors to the right, he sees what's happening, and he is always there with a few units to intercept them. And here we have a battle in the middle of the map. Suddenly those Ultralisks are leading the charge, the siege tanks are there, he tries to prevent the fourth phase of ByuN, and ByuL goes for it. A massive bundle on those Vikings, but only one, and ByuL is losing a lot, but can he reinforce immediately? Yes, he does. What about ByuN? He's struggling and losing his tanks.
He's losing his siege tanks here, a lot of medevacs in the air, but not a lot underneath them. He's got a drop to go and kill ByuL's base to the top left that just got started, but
and now
ByuL just needs a few more seconds and he's gonna have the Broodlord switch.
Yes, exactly, the Broodlord switch. That is so right, Wolf. That's the most important part now. He's going for a transition, a tech transition into Broodlords, and even with those triple starports that we have for ByuN, he can do it. He has the resources and he has free supply. But does he have the time? He's even building a fourth starport now.
You consider this too. When ByuN makes all these Vikings, he's going to burn all of his resources. Then if he happens to kill all the Broodlords, he's got a bunch of Vikings in the air, which ByuL already has the resources to switch back into Ultralisks. So this is a situation for ByuN that's very dire. He needs to take every single fight. He can't lose a single one or the game will end. He's starting to go into the Ravens. He gets the durable materials, the Corvid reactor.
A drop to the top left. Once more, here comes a small bioforce being sent in. And ByuL is now in a position where he has to admit that ByuN achieved what he was going for. He has the fourth base now. The Broodlords, can they really take down the fourth? This is what this tech switch is designed to do. He wants to at least kill the fourth, if possible, of course, win the game and push the army of his opponent back. But there's not a lot that supports these Broodlords. He needs a bit more than that.
I think he needs more Infestors. He only has one. He's got two more on the way, I think.
It's also, he needs more Broodlords, and there are 3 additional ones. You want to have at least roughly 8. Now he's going for 7. But he showed the Broodlords, and immediately, bam, ByuN going for 4 Vikings at a time. He will most likely even build more of those. He just doesn't have the minerals yet.
Yep. Those Broodlords are actually under attack. He doesn't have very many Corruptors to support. He only has 5 Corruptors and 3 Infestors to support the Broodlords. So once the Vikings get through here, he's going to have a pretty good opportunity. Here comes the ground armor. There's a few Ultralisks left. That planetary is going to be very useful. The Baneling hits here are not very good, but it looks like ByuL may have too much.
The Banelings put him back, and now we have those Ultralisks taking charge of the situation. The Broodlords are there firing away at the planetary.
They should be able to kill this planetary. The Marines to the right side are not enough, and ByuN, he does not have the bank anymore to remax, whereas ByuL instantly does with 15 Corruptors. His base on the left side is a little bit under attack, but if he pulls his queen back, he should be able to save it.
The Spinecrawler is still doing a bit of damage, but even if he loses this base to the left side of the map, we still have 2 additional bases at the bottom right where he can mine from. This seems to be a little bit too much. Zergling's trying to run in to save the day, but the hatch goes down.
Hatch goes down, he can instantly remake it, though he has plenty of resources. ByuL, he has the entire map covered in creep. He has everything covered, literally. He's got it covered. He's like the best insurance company that you could ever have if you're betting on him in this game, because his Corruptor count right now is at 17. The Viking count is at 4. There's those Banelings from earlier.
The entire time he was just using them for vision, and now he sees a chance as a lot of Marines walk over them, and he uses the Banelings. ByuN now is in trouble, and he GG's. This is it for him. ByuL with a 2-0 in the group. ByuN is now on 1-1. Well played by the Zerg player here on Antigua Shipyard. A strong performance.
Really nicely done. You know, ByuN, I think part of the problem for him was that queen spread, because his third base was so delayed, it really hurt his pushing power. Even though his defense of the Mutalist was really, really good, once he was trapped on 3 bases, he had to worry so much about that third that once he got it up, that's when ByuL had the entire map and Overlord coverage and creep coverage of the entire map. There was no way a medevac could sneak by without him knowing about it. He killed so many of those.
I loved his defensive play against the medevacs. It was really well done, and he never gave ByuN an opening. So it was a very solid performance. Very solid, straightforward play. That's exactly what you want here. So very well done. And a great Terran versus Zerg that we just saw in Antigua. Now we're jumping into our next game, though.
Yeah, it's going to be Protoss versus Protoss, Genius versus SOS.
And both of them losing the first game.
Yeah.
They want to prevent to be in the same situation. Here it is now. An 0-2 in the group. You don't want that. You want that first win.
You definitely definitely don't want to be falling behind. 0-2 is really, really bad to start things off, though, and that's where Hero's at right now.
Yeah. Bad news for Hero, bad news for Hero fans.
But one of these Process will have at least an even score after this match.
Yeah. But of course, things are not over for Hero just yet. Make sure to lend him your support. Let him know that you're cheering for him. We are focusing on Genius versus SOS now. The jerseys actually look very similar.
They almost look like they match.
Looks like they're teammates, but guys, they are not. You can see where Azubo took the inspiration for the team shirt.
I know, I'm looking at this, I almost had a moment where I thought they might have been made by the same company, but they're definitely not.
No, there's a slight difference. Yeah.
Like the sleeves for GS go all the way up to his neck.
Yep.
But pretty cool choices for both teams nonetheless.
Abyssal City for Protoss versus Protoss.
This is a cool map because I feel like in Bros vs. Bros, any strategy is a good strategy on this map. You can do Blink Stalkers, you can do Phoenixes, you can do a fast expand with one gateway, you can even do Sentry expand, you can do the Immortal expand, you can do an Immortal all in, you can do a Colossus all in off one base, or you could go DTs, but you could also 2-gate proxy. There's a lot of different strats.
Yeah.
That's just half of them, but I'm not going to go into all of them because that would take way too long.
They're probably both really happy that they face a Protoss player in a mirror match on this map in Berserk or
this Abyssal City is not Antigua.
Oh, you thought it was Antigua?
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar in a lot of strategies that you can execute, so... Well,
a little bit different, but yeah, it's most of what I said is actually still true.
We're going into the game right now. We have a Protoss versus Protoss at the GSL Up and Down Group D. Shy versus Genius at the GSL, brought to you by Kowloon Wolf.